You learn very quickly in life that people don't always show you who they truly are. Some smile at you, speak softly to you, stand beside you, but the moment life demands loyalty, honesty, or courage, they disappear. Not because you did something wrong, but because most people act out of convenience, not commitment. So understand this now. Not everyone who stands next to you stands with you. And no one owes you loyalty just because you've been loyal to them. The world teaches you to be friendly. I'm telling you to be aware, because every human carries motives, some hidden, some quiet, some so subtle you won't notice until the damage is done. People want information, access, benefits, support, validation, and often they want all that without giving anything in return. That's why you need to protect your space, your energy, your time, your ambition like it's something sacred, because it is. Being careful doesn't make you cold, it makes you wise. Being alert doesn't make you lonely, it makes you powerful. When you drop your guard for the wrong person, they can walk right through your life, rearrange everything, and leave you to clean up the mess. And if you think that won't happen because they would never do that, then you're exactly the kind of person who needs this reminder the most. People will test your boundaries. They will see how much you tolerate. They will see if you speak up. They will see if you protect yourself. And once they learn your weaknesses, they can use them. That doesn't make people evil, it makes them human. Which is exactly why you must be a step ahead. Pay attention to what people do, not what they say. Watch the actions, the patterns, the inconsistencies. People reveal everything when you stop focusing on their words and start studying their behavior. Life becomes safer not when you trust more, but when you trust smart. Not when you share everything, but when you share selectively. Not when you open your heart to everyone, but when you learn who deserves a seat at your table. Being alert is not about fear. It's about strategy. It's about understanding that self-protection is not selfishness, it's self-respect. And remember this, solitude is not your enemy. It's your training ground. When you learn to walk alone, no one can use loneliness to control you. When you learn to validate yourself, no one's approval can manipulate you. When you learn to stand strong on your own, no one's betrayal can break you. Strength is built in silence, in observation, in knowing more than you say and preparing more than anyone expects. So, stay sharp, stay aware, listen twice, speak once, trust slowly, observe constantly. Because the truth is simple. Not everyone is your friend and you don't need them to be. What you need is clarity. What you need is boundaries. What you need is the courage to protect the life you're building. Move with intention, guard your peace, and never let your kindness blind you to someone's motives. Be calm, be composed, be unshakable, and above all, be alert. Here is ***, keynote, no. 1 expanded into 900 words, ***. No headings, no ending lines, no conclusion lines, just pure continuous speech. Not everyone who smiles at you stands with you, and the sooner you understand that, the safer and stronger your life becomes, because people can present themselves as kind, supportive, and well-intentioned, but the truth is that human behavior is layered, complicated, and often driven by motives that have nothing to do with loyalty or genuine care. When someone approaches you with a smile, it doesn't always mean they wish you well. Sometimes it simply means they want something access, information, validation, or an advantage. That is why you must learn to trust actions, not words, because words can be rehearsed, polished, and performed like a script, while actions reveal what a person truly stands for. Words tell you who someone wants to be, actions show you who they really are. And too many people ignore the signs because they want to believe the best in others, even when those others have repeatedly shown behaviors that contradict their words. When people speak, they tell you a story, but when they act, they tell you the truth. You might hear someone say they support you, yet they vanish when you need help. You might hear someone call you a friend, yet they talk behind your back when you're not in the room. You might hear someone say they're loyal, yet their behavior shifts the moment something becomes inconvenient for them. That's why emotional intelligence matters. It's not about becoming suspicious or bitter. It's about seeing clearly. It's about recognizing patterns. Patterns never lie. If someone consistently shows up late, breaks promises, dismisses your feelings, or only appears when it benefits them, you need to believe that. Because believing actions protects you from being manipulated by charm, flattery, or empty promises. The world trains people to use words as tools and sometimes as disguises. People say what sounds good, what maintains their image, what earns your trust, or what keeps you close enough for their convenience. That's why you must observe quietly, listen deeply, and treat every action as data. Watch how people behave when there's nothing to gain. See how they respond when you set a boundary. Pay attention to how they act when you're not in a position to offer them anything. That is where their real nature appears. Anyone can be pleasant when life is easy. Anyone can support you when support costs them nothing. But character is revealed when loyalty becomes a choice, when honesty becomes uncomfortable, and when doing the right thing requires effort. Most people will choose ease over integrity, convenience over loyalty, and comfort over truth, which is why trusting blindly is dangerous. You don't owe everyone access to your inner world, and you certainly don't owe them trust just because they use friendly language. Trust is earned through consistency, alignment, and reliability. If someone's words and actions don't match, always choose to believe the action. If someone says they're on your side but behaves in ways that undermine your goals, your peace, or your boundaries, believe that behavior. If someone claims they are your friend but disappears in your difficult moments, believe that disappearance. Humans reveal themselves through their choices, especially small ones, how they treat waiters, how they talk about others, how they respond to pressure, how they react when you succeed, how they behave when you set limits. These nuances tell a story far more accurate than anything spoken aloud. Trusting actions doesn't mean you walk around paranoid or guarded to the point of isolation. It means you are awake. It means you're grounded in reality, not fantasy. It means you protect your emotional, mental, and personal space with strength and clarity. When you rely on behavior as your guide, manipulation becomes harder, emotional traps become avoidable, and false friendships become easier to identify. You don't get blindsided by betrayal because you've already been paying attention. You don't end up shocked by someone's true nature because you never allowed their charm to blind you. Observing actions is not cold, it's responsible. It's self-respect. It's maturity. Many people show you exactly who they are within the first few interactions, but you miss it because you're too focused on what they say, how they present themselves, or how much you want them to be something they are not. You ignore red flags because you don't want to deal with discomfort. You give chances to people who've already shown their intentions. You allow someone's promises to outweigh their patterns. But when you shift your focus from listening to watching, from assuming to analyzing, everything changes. You become a better judge of character. You become harder to exploit. You become more aligned with your own growth and less distracted by people who don't have genuine intentions. Trusting actions also teaches you to trust yourself. Your instincts sharpen. Your awareness strengthens. You start noticing details you once overlooked: tone, timing, behavior shifts, energy changes, inconsistency, avoidance, entitlement, and micro-behaviors that reveal deeper truths. You begin to understand that your intuition isn't random. It's your mind processing information your conscious brain hasn't fully registered yet. When someone's actions give you an uncomfortable feeling, that feeling is information. When someone repeatedly behaves in ways that make you question their loyalty, that pattern is information. When someone's behavior never matches their promises, that gap is information, and information is protection. You don't need to confront everyone. You don't need to call out every inconsistency. You don't need to expose people who expose themselves through their own behavior. All you need to do is quietly adjust your distance. Quietly redefine your boundaries. Quietly limit access. Quietly choose yourself over someone's excuses. Because when you learn to trust actions, not words, you stop giving your energy to people who haven't earned it, and you start building a life surrounded only by those who show consistency, effort, and truth through what they do rather than what they say. Here is *** keynote. No to expanded into 900 words. ***. No headings, no conclusion, no ending lines. Protect your boundaries, because people will always test what they think they can get away with, and this truth shows up in every area of life: relationships, friendships, work, family, even in small, everyday interactions. Human behavior naturally follows patterns, and one of the strongest patterns is this: people push until they meet resistance. They take until they are told no. They stretch the limits until they finally realize those limits are firm. That's why boundaries are not optional, they are essential. You teach people how to treat you not by what you say, but by what you enforce. And the moment you stop enforcing your boundaries, the moment you let things slide for the sake of peace, comfort, or avoiding conflict, you send a clear message that you can be pushed, that you can be convinced, that you can be overrun by someone else's desires or expectations. Most people don't test you because they're malicious. They test you because they want to understand the rules of engagement. They want to see what behavior is allowed and what is not. If you let them speak to you disrespectfully once, they'll assume it's acceptable. If you allow them to cancel plans repeatedly without consequence, they'll keep doing it. If you let them take advantage of your kindness, your time, your generosity, or your patience, they will continue because you have shown them that this behavior comes at no cost. People don't change their treatment of you out of guilt, they change it when you change the terms. And boundaries are those terms. Boundaries define the difference between being kind and being used, between being understanding and being taken for granted, between being supportive and being drained. Your boundaries are your responsibility. You cannot expect people to automatically know them, respect them, or honor them, because everyone comes from different experiences, different values, and different interpretations of what is acceptable. Some people grew up thinking chaos is normal. Some think yelling is communication. Some think taking advantage of others is just being clever. Some think emotional dumping is a sign of closeness. Some think your time belongs to them simply because they want it. You cannot rely on others to protect your peace, they won't. You must do that yourself, clearly and consistently. And once you do, you start to notice a shift. The people who care will adjust. The people who don't will get offended. And both reactions are information. Boundary testing often starts small, subtle comments, tiny requests, small invasions of your space, micro disrespect, slight oversteps. These moments may seem insignificant at first, but they are the beginning of a pattern. When someone says something slightly disrespectful and you let it slide, next time it won't be slight. When someone asks a small favor and you sacrifice your time even though you didn't want to, next time they'll ask for more. When someone offloads their emotions onto you repeatedly and you never draw a line, you become their emotional dumping ground. It all starts with how you respond the first time. People study your reactions. They notice what you tolerate, they learn what they can get away with, and once they know, they adjust their behavior accordingly. That's why protecting your boundaries is not a one-time decision, it's a lifestyle. Setting boundaries is not about being harsh. It's about being clear. It's about understanding your own worth. It's about knowing your emotional, mental, and physical limits and refusing to compromise them for anyone who refuses to meet you with respect. You don't need to justify your boundaries, explain them extensively, or apologize for them. A boundary is not a negotiation. It's a declaration. It's you saying, this is what I allow, and this is what I don't. And anyone who values you will respect that. Anyone who doesn't will reveal their intentions through their reaction. Guilt is one of the biggest obstacles to boundary setting. You think saying no makes you selfish. You think stepping back makes you cold. You think protecting your energy makes you difficult. But guilt is just a conditioned response, often shaped by years of being told to prioritize others over yourself. The truth is the opposite. When you say no to what drains you, you say yes to what strengthens you. When you protect your boundaries, you protect your mental health, your self-esteem, your focus, and your peace. People who benefit from your lack of boundaries will try to make you feel guilty for having them. People who rely on your silence will be threatened by your voice. People who are used to taking advantage of you will see your self-respect as an attack. That's not your problem. That's their discomfort meeting your growth. You don't need to argue with people about your boundaries. You don't need to convince them. You don't need to bend or break your values so that someone else can feel comfortable. Silence can be a boundary. Distance can be a boundary. A simple no can be a boundary. You don't always have to explain yourself. Not every situation deserves your emotional labor. Your peace is not a prize people win by violating your limits. It's something you preserve by knowing when to walk away, when to close the door, and when to stop giving access to people who misuse it. The strongest form of personal power comes from consistency. Your boundaries mean nothing if they only exist when you're in a good mood. They must exist when you're tired, stressed, vulnerable, or tempted to let things slide. You must protect your boundaries, even when it's uncomfortable, even when you worry someone will get upset, even when you fear being misunderstood. Because every time you choose discomfort in the moment, you prevent long-term damage. And every time you choose peace in the moment, you set yourself up for long-term exhaustion. Boundaries protect your future self. They protect you from resentment, burnout, manipulation, and emotional chaos. When people realize you cannot be manipulated through guilt, fear, or pressure, they treat you differently. When they see you respect yourself, they begin to respect you more. When you show that you will not tolerate disrespect, they learn quickly that the cost of mistreating you is losing access to you. Boundaries shift the entire dynamic of your relationships. You stop attracting people who want to drain you, and you start attracting people who understand reciprocity, responsibility, and emotional maturity. Because people who value you will celebrate your boundaries, not challenge them. They will appreciate your clarity, not fear it. And they will show you through their behavior that they understand your worth, not try to diminish it. Here is keynote, no point 3 expanded into 900 words, no headings, no ending lines, no conclusion, just continuous speech, powerful and clean. Move with awareness, stay calm, stay observant, and never let your kindness blind you, because the world rewards the person who pays attention and punishes the one who moves through life distracted, emotional, or naive. Awareness is not paranoia, it is intelligence. When you move through your day fully present, fully conscious of your surroundings, your relationships, and the energy around you, you begin to notice things that most people overlook. The small shifts in someone's tone, the slight hesitation in their answers, the inconsistencies between what they say and what they do, the way they act when they think you're not paying attention, these details become visible when your mind is quiet and your senses are sharp. People reveal more than they realize, but you can only see it when you stop rushing, stop assuming, and start observing. Staying calm is a form of power. In every stressful moment, in every difficult interaction, the person who can hold their composure holds the advantage. When you're calm, you think clearly. You choose your responses instead of reacting impulsively. You maintain control over your emotions instead of handing that control to someone else. People often expect you to get angry, to panic, to overreact, or to lose your balance. When you don't, it unsettles them because calmness is a form of self-mastery. It shows that you are grounded, not easily influenced, not easily manipulated. Calmness doesn't mean you're detached. It means you're disciplined. It means you're not ruled by your impulses. It means you're able to analyze a situation before acting, which is a skill very few people possess. Observation is a skill you build with intention. It requires patience, silence, and a willingness to see what's actually happening instead of what you wish were happening. Most people listen to respond, not to understand. Most people watch to judge, not to learn. But when you observe without ego, without assumptions, without the need to be right, you start to understand the deeper layers of human behavior. Body language, timing, reactions, micro-expressions, patterns, these pieces of information tell a story that words alone never reveal. You start to see when someone is uncomfortable, when they are hiding something, when they are being genuine, when they are pretending, when they are trying to impress you, or when they are trying to use you. Observation gives you clarity, and clarity gives you protection. Your kindness is a strength, but only when paired with discernment. Kindness without awareness becomes vulnerability. Kindness without boundaries becomes exhaustion. Kindness without observation becomes an invitation for people to take advantage of you. The world is full of people who interpret kindness as weakness, patience as permission, and generosity as something they are entitled to. That's why you must never allow your kindness to blind you to someone's intentions. You can be kind and still say no. You can be kind and still protect yourself. You can be kind and still walk away from someone who brings chaos into your life. True kindness is not about sacrificing yourself. It's about offering goodness without abandoning your self-respect. When you are aware, calm, and observant, you start to understand how much is revealed in the spaces between words. Someone's hesitation before answering a question, the way their eyes shift when you ask something important, the way their voice changes when they lie, the way they treat others when they think no one is watching. These small things tell you who someone is long before their big actions show it. People don't suddenly betray you. They show signs long before. People don't suddenly switch on you. They reveal their nature through patterns you ignored. Awareness keeps you from being blindsided because you've already seen the truth in their behavior. Staying alert doesn't mean living in fear, it means living intelligently. When you walk into a room, you scan it. When you meet someone new, you observe their energy, not just their words. When someone enters your life, you pay attention to how they move, how they speak, what they prioritize, and how they treat others. You don't assume trust, you let people earn it. You don't assume loyalty, you watch for consistency. Awareness keeps you grounded and prevents you from building false narratives around people who haven't shown you who they really are. Calmness gives you control in emotional situations. When someone tries to provoke you, staying calm disarms them. When someone tries to manipulate you, calmness makes it harder for them to read you. When someone expects you to react, calmness forces them to reveal their true intentions. Your calmness becomes a mirror, reflecting their own behavior back at them. And in that reflection, people often show their real motives. Calmness is not silence, it is strategy. It allows you to gather information, to think clearly, to stay balanced while others lose their ground. Observation protects you from giving your trust to the wrong person. It helps you understand dynamics, recognize patterns, and avoid repeating mistakes. Many people move through life blind to the lessons that are right in front of them because they don't observe. They rush into relationships, friendships, partnerships, decisions, then wonder why things fall apart. When you observe, you make choices based on reality, not emotion. You see people for who they are, not for who you hope they'll become. And your kindness becomes sharper, wiser, more intentional. You learn who deserves your warmth and who deserves your distance. You learn when to open your heart and when to close the door. Kindness becomes a choice rooted in clarity, not an automatic response rooted in conditioning. Kindness becomes empowerment, not self-sacrifice. When you combine awareness, calmness, observation, and controlled kindness, you move differently. You stop wasting energy on the wrong people. You stop explaining yourself to those who don't listen. You stop defending yourself to those who misunderstand you on purpose. You stop giving chances to people who've already shown their intentions. You become selective not out of fear, but out of wisdom. You become quiet not out of weakness, but out of power. You become harder to fool, harder to distract, harder to manipulate. And you start to live your life with a sense of inner strength that cannot be shaken by anyone's opinions, behavior, or expectations.